If you've been online lately, you've probably seen people say that Muslims are killing Christians in Nigeria, or that when Muslims are attacked, the world protests, but when Christians are attacked, Muslims stay silent. It is quite painful, emotional, and of course, a very sad statement, and it spread fast. But today, let's slow down because the truth is not about what is happening in Nigeria. It is far deeper and far more tragic than what social media actually shows. And I've seen a lot of people making it religious, which in fact is not what is happening. And also, I did some research, gathered some information here and there, and in today's video I'm going to acknowledge all that there is to be said. So if you are not a member of this channel yet, consider subscribing to the channel, and let's begin today's video. Now, over the years, groups like Boko Haram and ISWAP have carried out horrific attacks across northern Nigeria. Villages were destroyed, lives were lost, families displaced, and thousands have died. Not Christians, but Muslims also. So, yes, it is true that many Christian communities have suffered terribly, from churches being burned to priests kidnapped, innocent civilians killed, which, of course, I acknowledge as a Muslim. But what most people never hear about are the Muslim victims of the same violence. The Boko Haram, which has been in existence for years now, claiming to act upon the Islamic ruling for justice, which in fact is not Islamic, also splitted in 2016 to form the ISWAP, which pledged allegiance to ISIS. Now, bear in mind that all these groups, although have Islamic names, are not acting upon Islam. They are extremists who misuse the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for their own gain, and no true Muslim will agree with them. Now, according to Amnesty International's 2023 report, over 20,000 civilians have been killed in conflict involving Boko Haram and other armed groups since 2009. And Amnesty notes clearly that both Muslims and Christians are victims of these killings. In fact, Human Rights Watch confirmed that Boko Haram has attacked mosques, Islamic schools, and Muslim clerics who actually spoke out against them, which makes me fear for my life. But it is for a good cause, so it has to be said. Now, entire Muslim communities have been wiped out for refusing to join their ideology and way of extremism. And yet, when you go online, that part of the story is almost never told. Almost all reports that I've seen state that Christians are being killed without mentioning Muslims. Now, get me right, I'm not saying that they are sideline Muslim victims. No, what I'm saying is they are portraying the wrong narrative to the world by making it seem like Muslims are killing Christians, which in fact is wrong. And these so-called Islamic groups that use the name of Islam to do their actions are not Muslims. These are people who claim to be Muslims but have different motives of ideology and actions. Even the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom notes that Nigeria's violence is a complex one. It is not a simple case of Muslim versus Christians, because much of it is fueled by ethnic tensions, land disputes, political corruption, and extremist factions exploiting religion for power. Groups like Boko Haram or ISWAP have killed more Muslims than anyone else for just not conforming to their ideology and ways, and they have been condemned not just by international organizations but by every major Islamic scholar in Nigeria and across the Muslim world. Every scholar has said it clearly that these groups do not represent Islam. They are Khawarij, that is extremists who distort Allah's words for their own agenda. But some people go further. They say, why are we defending if the Quran itself tells Muslims to kill Christians and non-Muslims wherever they find them? But here's the truth. That verse has a historical context, one that changes everything. Now, let's go back to 1,400 years ago. The Muslims of Medina had been expelled from their homes in Mecca. Their properties were stolen, their families were tortured, and some even were killed, all for saying there is no God but Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then revealed this verse not as a command to attack innocent people, but as a punishment to fight back in self-defense. وَقُتُلُوهُمْ حَيْثُ ثَقِفْتُمُوهُمْ وَأَخْرِجُوكُمْ مِنْ حَيْثُ أَخْرَجُوكُمْ, and kill them wherever you confront them until the end of the verse, that is the ending part. And you see, the most interesting thing is that the end part of the verse says, and if they cease, then indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgiving and merciful. Meaning, once the enemy stops fighting you, you must stop fighting them. And this is not a call for violence, it is a restriction on violence. And that story is a command to the Prophet, which is a lesson that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us. And so Islam's message is pretty clear. Life is sacred. In Surah Al-Ma'idah, when you check, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Man qatala nafsan bighayri nafsin aw fasadin fil arudi فَكَأَنَّمَا قَتَلَ النَّاسَ جَمِيعًا. And whoever kills a single soul, unless in retribution for murder or spreading corruption on earth, it is as if the person has killed all of mankind. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, also said in the famous hadith that the believer is not the one who harms others with his tongue or his hands. And all these are available in the Quran and of course the hadith, yet people will never quote those ones. They only quote what is favoring them, take out the context to spread lies and also confusion among the people who are actually listening to them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also forbade the killing of women, the killing of children, the killing of monks, and even animals in war. And that is the Islamic standard. So when a so-called Muslim group kills innocent people, they are not following Islam, they are betraying Islam to our view. And now some people ask, why do Muslims shout free Palestine but they stay silent when Christians are being killed in Nigeria, just like what is happening? The answer isn't about silence, it is about selective media coverage. When Muslims speak about Palestine, it is not because the victims are Muslims, it is because this is a global, decades-long occupation being broadcasted live. But the tragedy that is in Nigeria has been going on quietly for years under different governments with limited go attention, even from Western media. Even that, Muslims have spoken, and because we are victims as well, imams, organizations, and even everyday Muslims have prayed, donated, and even raised awareness to those happenings. But their voices are drowned by the noise of misinformation by the media. And that is why I decided to talk about this today. I can disagree with a non-Muslim intellectually, but I will not fight him or her. When it comes to day-to-day activities, we'll work together. But in terms of faith, we might have our differences, but I will not slander you. That is our religion, and that is how it has been since. So yes, Christians have been killed, and so have Muslims. Every innocent life actually matters. But make no mistake, these killings are not Islam versus Christianity. They are evil versus humanity, and Islam stands with humanity. Let nobody lie to you, because Islam commands justice, it commands mercy, and it commands that every life, Muslim or Christian, to be protected. So the next time you see someone saying, where are the Muslims when Christians are being killed, remember that we are here, we are mourning too, and we are praying for peace, not for one religion, but for every human being suffering in this world. Now I'll leave all the details to this report in the description down below. Read it for yourself and know the truth, because there are way too many lies on the media, and that has to change. Share this video so we create awareness of these happenings and of course misconceptions about Islam and Muslims in the world. And until next time, subscribe to the channel and I'll see you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.